Good morning, students. In the last class, we have studied, like in your second chapter, measurement, we have studied about density and how to find the mass of the pebbles using Eureka can. Okay? Today, we will learn about how to find the volume of a ring using the measuring cylinder. Okay, here second chapter is measurement. Under this we have studied about Eureka can. Now we will study about volume, to find the volume of ring using measuring cylinder. What is it? Cylinder. Okay. If you have your textbook, you can open page number 27. Okay. Measuring cylinder. In figure 2.2, we have shown you the measuring cylinder. This is your measuring cylinder. Like we have seen in the chemistry lab a beaker. On the measuring cylinder also you will be having the values like 50 ml, 100 ml, 150, 200 ml like that. Now first of all, to find the volume of any object using the measuring cylinder, what you need to do, let us see. First, take the measuring cylinder. What I said, on the measuring cylinder there will be values 50, 100 ml, like this 200 ml, 150. Okay, like this you will be seeing. Now, first fill this measuring cylinder with water. Up to half of it I have filled it with water, or 3/4 you can fill it. Now, after filling it with water, note the volume. You have filled the measuring cylinder with water. Now, by looking at the till up to which mark you have filled the measuring cylinder with water, let us say, let V1 be the initial volume. For me, if I have filled up to 200, my 200 ml. V1 indicates initial volume. That means I haven't dropped any object, just I have filled my measuring cylinder with water. Now V1 equal to 200 ml. Now the other objects, whatever objects whose volume you want to find, now drop it. Now I am taking a stone, let us assume. Now I am dropping the stone inside the water. Now, does the stone stays there or it moves to the bottom of the measuring cylinder? It moves to the bottom of the cylinder. Now, observe the volume of the liquid in the measuring cylinder. Children, what do you say? Does the level of the liquid rises or does it decreases? Now, I observe that the volume has raised, level of the liquid. When I have dropped the stone, the volume of the liquid has raised up to 250 ml. Let V2 be its final volume, 250 ml. Now, what is the volume occupied by my stone? I need to find out. Then volume is V2 minus V1. That is final volume minus initial volume. How much is my final? 250 minus 200. How much it will be? 50 ml. Okay. This is the volume occupied by my stone. Okay. This is the way how to find the volume of an object using your measuring cylinder. Now look at your activity 2. What he is saying, aim is to find the volume of a gold ring using a graduated cylinder. Graduated means measuring cylinder or graduated cylinder. Now the same thing. What are the requirements there? We need water, gold ring, a measuring cylinder. Yes or no? Look at the materials. Graduated cylinder, water and gold ring. Procedure. Now look at the procedure. Figures there 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, 6 and 2.7. In 2.3, what he is doing? He is filling the cylinder with water. Now after filling, he has placed it on the top of the table at room temperature. Next 2.5, what he is doing? He is noting down the volume of the liquid up to which mark, like this. Initial volume up to which mark does the liquid has come up. In 2.6, he has just tilted. This measuring cylinder was like this. He has just tilted and now he is placing the gold ring inside the measuring cylinder. We all observing in figure 2.6. Now, after placing the cylinder placing the gold ring inside the cylinder, he has placed it on the table. Then he observed there is an increase in the level of the liquid. Now, in order to find volume of the gold ring, final minus initial he has done. That gives the volume of the gold ring. Okay? Like this, we can find out the volume of a gold ring using your measuring cylinder. Let us see the procedure once. If you have any doubts, let us see. Keep the graduated cylinder in a tilted position and pour water in it till it is half full. Keep the cylinder on a table at room temperature. Note the level of water in the cylinder. Slide the gold ring gently by tilting the cylinder. That means just tilt the cylinder like this. Again, keep the cylinder back in its normal position and check the reading. Observe the difference. Observation. You will observe that the level of the water increases when you put the gold ring in the cylinder. This is because the gold ring, why does the level of the water displaces? Because the gold ring displaces the water there. It has changed the position of the water. This is because the gold ring displaces a water equal to its mass. The difference between the new reading and the initial reading is the volume of the gold ring. Okay children, this is your activity 2, how to find the volume of the different objects using a measuring cylinder. Okay. Now, today you all do one activity at home. What is that activity? I will tell you. Why I am asking you to do this activity means you will experience this. Okay. Here we will be getting a doubt why some objects are floating and some objects are sinking. For that, let us do a simple activity. You all do this. Take an empty plastic bottle. What you need to take? Empty plastic bottle. Okay. Now, close the mouth of the empty bottle with the cap tightly. Okay. Empty bottle you take, close the mouth of the bottle tightly with the cap. Now take a bucket, fill it with water. What you need to do? Take a bucket, fill it with water. Now place this empty plastic bottle or throw this in the bucket which you have filled it with water. What do you observe now? Obviously, the bottle will float on water. Okay. Now, using your hand, press the bottle inside the water. Press the bottle from the top. You press the bottle inside the water. Okay. Keep your hand on the bottle and press it downwards. Now here, when you are pressing the bottle, do you experience that some force is pushing that? Okay, you'll observe that there is some force. Okay, upward force, or otherwise, if you don't experience also, you are putting your hand on the bottle. Inside the water, you have pressed the bottle inside the water. Now remove your hand from the bottle. What happens to the bottle now? The bottle will come upwards. Why it is coming upwards? An object, here in this case it is coming upwards means some force. Is it pushing the bottle upwards or not? That upward thrust or force is called as buoyant force. This upward force is called buoyant force. Okay? Why we are reading this buoyant force? See here, let us take a beaker. I have filled it with water. Another beaker, again filled it with water. A third beaker also I am filling it with water. Okay? 3 beakers I have taken and I have filled it with water. Now I have dropped a stone. I have dropped a stone. Then what happens to my stone? It will sink. That means it will reach at the bottom. I have dropped a wooden block, small piece of wood. What happens to my wood? It will float. Here, saying why a stone is sinking, why does a wooden block is floating. Let us take these 2 examples. First of all, we will understand this. Sinking for any object, like if I am throwing a pencil upwards Afterwards, what happens? After reaching to a certain height, the pencil, where does it goes? It reaches towards the earth. That means the earth is exerting some force on the object. What is that force called? Gravitational force. Now in this case also, the weight of the stone, let us assume W1. The stone is reaching at the bottom of the beaker, means the weight of the stone or the gravitational force is acting towards the earth. Now, whenever an object is immersed in a liquid, we have studied, like in a liquid means in a bucket of water we have dropped an empty bottle. We have experienced an upward force there. That upward force we call it as buoyant force. Now here also the weight of the object is acting downwards. There must be a buoyant force. Yes or no? When an object is immersed in a liquid, there experiences an upward force. That upward force is buoyant force. Here, the buoyant force is also acting in the upward direction. Let it be W2. Now, we are getting a doubt. On the stone, there are two forces. One is gravitational force and the another one is buoyant force. Now, why does the stone sinks in water? If the stone is sinking, means the weight W1 is more than W2. Does the weight sinks or not? ఇటు సైడ్ యాక్ట్ చేసే ఫోర్స్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే అటు సైడే మూవ్ అవుతుందా ఆబ్జెక్ట్ అవ్వదా? ఎస్. W2 is less than your W1. Hence, the object tries to sink down. Okay? Now, on the same wooden block, there is again a gravitational force W1. As it is immersed in a liquid, which force is that? Upward force, buoyant force. Now, why does your wooden block is floating? This buoyant force is more when compared to your gravitational force. Hence, we conclude that W1 is greater than W2. The object sinks. W1, if it is equal to W2, just it will float. W2 is greater than W1, or W1 is less than W2. The object floats partially or partially immersed. Okay, these are the conditions to show that the object sinks or floats. Okay, if you want, you see conditions of flotation of a body, figure 2.8. Okay, these are the conditions for sinking and floating. Okay, in the next class we will learn principle of flotation. Based on that, we will discuss why does a ship does not sink in water? Why does an iron nail sinks in water? Why does an iceberg float on water? Okay, Today your homework is write the activity 2 in page number given, page number 27, 28 I think. 27. Practice it twice. Draw the diagrams also, children. Okay children, thank you.